Good morning, everybody. Charting man Dan of the Chart Guys checking in on the crypto space. I normally do these weekend videos privately, but my schedule was thrown off this week. Didn't get out the public video yesterday, so I'll see you Chart Guys members for our private date tomorrow. But checking in on Bitcoin and some of the altcoins, talking about the shifts that we need to see for the altcoin bulls to start to gain some confidence. And before we get into that, put out a couple videos this past week. We have the webinar about routines and habits and flow state on our YouTube channel. And then yesterday put out a video about pretty much a day in the life and my routine with trading. And that is also on our YouTube channel. So Bitcoin on the daily time frame. Well, first let's go NASDAQ. So NASDAQ S&P 500 closed the quarter very strong up at the high. The NASDAQ's at the highest level it's seen in 7 months. That's very notable. That is, for me, that means the least amount of fear in the NASDAQ in 7 months. And we're approaching a level, we're a couple percent away from trying to get to the highest level that we've seen in the last 11 months. So it's extremely notable that the bulls are keeping this control. And we got a lot of space for a daily high or low next consolidation. So confidence is returning to markets. Though you have to think about sentiment. And I myself don't really attach myself to the bulls and the bears very much, and I'm very open-minded and willing to pivot. Right now, I'm certainly bullish until the bears give me a reason not to be, and it's just the daily higher lows that are going to keep me bullish in the broader market. But you just have to imagine psychologically with where we stand, every green day that we see from here, more and more people are going to say, did I miss the bottom? Is our fear bottom in? Are we about to head back to all-time highs? I've got all this capital on the side. I got all these shorts open. And that's now the psychology that we're in. And it might be a grind up that just punishes bears for a while. We know that we'll see consolidation inevitably. But again, for me, we have to lose the daily uptrend for something to shift notably. Bitcoin is holding well. The simple statement for me on Bitcoin is if daily EMA 12 is support, the bulls have complete control. And the last period of consolidation held that, talked about the potential 2-day bull flag, which is trying to confirm, and on Bitstamp, it did not confirm, but pretty much everywhere else it did. It just confirmed with zero follow through. And so we can keep an eye on the 12-hour. We had a 12-hour megaphone that we were watching where we have the lower lows without much follow through for the bears, the higher highs without much follow through for the bulls. And so we're just watching this megaphone. And again, when you head into the weekend these days, often, if you want probabilities in your favor, anticipate the most likely scenario as a tightening range on Bitcoin, because we know volume and volatility significantly drops off. And we have the 12-hour in an equilibrium. So yesterday, we got our low, high, higher, low. And, you don't need a crystal ball yesterday saying, I'm keeping an eye out for a 12-hour lower high on Bitcoin heading into the weekend to watch for a tightening 12-hour range. And so we're potentially shaping up that 12-hour lower high if we see a little bit more weakness from here. We had a 15-minute rising wedge that I was talking about last night, just because that was a potential setup where if we're going to see, 12-hour lower high, keep an eye out for a potential bear break of this rising wedge. And so broke bear. We're still in a 4-hour uptrend. We're testing 4-hour EMA 12. If the bulls are going to keep their full control, it would be a bull flag holding EMA 12 to head back to the recent high. But if we lose 4-hour EMA 12, again, just a simple 12-hour equilibrium. So burden is on bears because bulls are confident and the bears are uncomfortable as we're sitting right under resistance at this point. So we know that Bitcoin dominance has been leading the way here. And what we're watching for, again, when the dominance chart is sideways, it pretty much shows us that the alts and Bitcoin are doing the same thing. When it's shooting up, we know Bitcoin's way stronger. When it's dumping, we know altcoins are way stronger. But right now, sideways means they're pretty much doing the same thing. There's individual names that have stronger moves and weaker moves, but for the most part, crypto's moving as a whole unit. And so we're watching to see how that shifts from here. But I'm also watching for confidence. Confidence is contagious, just like fear is contagious. And so the more we grind up in the broader market, the more fear is alleviated, the more we're going to see, in my opinion, people putting capital to work. And we're going to see confidence seep out into the altcoins that have been so much weaker. So, for a while we've been saying, why would we be looking at altcoins right now? They're extremely weak. Bitcoin's extremely strong. And if Bitcoin sees any kind of weakness, those alts are not positioned well for it. But now I'm watching for laggard plays. We know that when we're in a strong bull market, we get those laggard moves where this group runs, and then the ones that haven't run yet, they get their move up. And it's just that capital flowing around as profits go to other coins in a favorable bullish environment. So we're watching to see, is that going to take shape now? And I'll show you how I'm watching for that on the BTC pairings of some of these altcoins. So ETH is up, testing its recent high as well. And again, it's a potential megaphone to be keeping an eye out for. The bear breaks lack follow through. The bull breaks have lacked follow through. So just watching something along these lines. Still a 12-hour clear uptrend. We got 1862 is the highest level we've seen at this point on Coinbase. And again, bulls holding on just fine. We have a little support level of 1762. I wouldn't necessarily call that a daily high or low, but that can be my visual guide and say if that level breaks, then that's the first red flag for the bulls from where we stand right now. ETHBTC is telling us, keep an eye on this pairing. It's getting very no, it's not. It is a chart. It's getting very tight. So base of support, wall of resistance. And again, this shows us that Ethereum and Bitcoin are doing the same thing over the last week and a half. And so when this breaks, this is obviously Bitcoin far outperforming. If this breaks bull, it means ETH is the bull to be in. And if it breaks bear, then that means Bitcoin remains the bull to be in. So we'll keep an eye on how this tight sideways range breaks. And just reminds me of Doge. Forgot to pull up Doge here, but real tight daily BTC pattern. So let's see if Doge can get a clear break one way or the other. And if we pull back here, this is going to be a really nice tightening range for when it breaks. Again, anticipating volatility. If I'm not in a position, I want to see Dogecoin reject from resistance, pull back and form a daily high or low, and then look for a break mid next week. The tighter, the better if you're looking to play the break of a tightening range. And just an example, AI, the stock, traded it a lot. Back here, traded it a lot, traded it a lot, traded it a lot, and haven't been trading it a lot as it's been tightening up. And missed this bull move, huge bull move on Friday. And the reason I missed it is the chart did not get as tight as I would have liked. This is a huge range, 50% move up, 33% pullback. I would have loved for it to do this and then break, but it broke and it was already a bit too extended for me to be comfortable going as an aggressive bull, considering at the time the bull break took place, we were up 50% off that recent low in the last 2 weeks of trading. So just an example. So Litecoin daily uptrend confirmed, little higher low and higher high. So we're looking back at the recent high of 96.11 as resistance, keeping this daily uptrend intact. And LTCBTC was one of the names that we've been keeping an eye on because, again, so many altcoin had their BTC pairings just grinding down to fresh lows with no sign of any strength. And as soon as you see this big a bounce, we anticipate the Litecoin BTC most likely scenario is a daily high or low and to be watching for it. And, I've talked about in some of the recent videos, if you are going to look bullish in altcoins, look for the names that are showing us trend changes trying to take place and that are not at their lows, just in that free fall, slow grind down. And so Litecoin is an example of that. And the bulls really want to see 3445 break to confirm that daily uptrend. So that's something to be keeping an eye on from here. And we're going to look at some of these other names that are trying to shape up shifts in their BTC pairings as well. Before we get to that, XRP. So XRP, 12 daily stair-step candles in a row. If you don't know what a stair-step is, Google ChartGuys stair-step, whole video describing that trading style and strategy. And we have the 12 daily stair-step candle. We know that if it breaks, hourly oversolds or conditions are going to happen. And that's just an example of knowing how these time frames relate to each other. And so we know daily consolidation will be inevitable eventually. And so as soon as you get that bear break of 52.57, that is the bear indication that daily consolidation is underway. And you then look for hourly oversold conditions. Ideally, the bulls want to see hourly oversold mark the daily higher low. And so now we have nice bear follow through on that break. It was a quick 3-hour trade, but the break of that support indicating daily consolidation is now underway. If a bear shorts that support level, it's a very quick 5% drop. And again, not anticipating that you're going to nail the bottom there. So that was a very clear 2-3% trade opportunity. So then we had a nice bounce from hourly oversold, and it was a bit extreme. And so we have the Trader Pro alert system. Right now, what alerts are beneficial here? Well, we've got pretty much super stacks telling us when it's a good idea to take some profit. And this is the daily super stack signals that have gone off on XRP over the last, 4 months, 6 months. And it just, again, it's an indication of we're really extended on a bunch of time frames all at the same time. And so back in September, we had the daily super stack fire before a significant pullback. We then had recently the daily super stack fire before a 10% plus pullback, 15% plus pullback. And then again, it's not nailing the top. For me, it's an indication of start scaling out. You don't have to just sell everything right when the alert hits, but it's a good idea to start taking some profit. And we have now pulled back from both of those indications of extreme overbought timeframes, all aligning. And then if you look at the super stack on the hourly for the long, if you sell super stack daily when we're overextended and you reload some of it on the hourly super stack, what exactly would that be? I don't know. Most recent sell was at about 546, and the reload would have been at about 508, we'll call it. So again, just, buy low, sell high. Sounds really easy. But what the alert system does is it's just like a little snap out of it. Because if I'm looking at XRP and it's running up, the court case and this is going to go to $1 and, your emotions are taking control. And then the alert system says, hey, take a step back from those emotions. Might be a good idea to be taking some profit around here. And so that, is a nice way of it's almost like a third opinion. Like, hey, maybe you should do this. And that's what the alerts are good for in this current environment. It's good for overextended moves to the upside to take some profit, and then looking for the back burners on the pullbacks. Back burners or super stacks for reloading because we're in a bullish crypto environment until we see otherwise. So looking to sell into strength and then reload into some weakness is definitely the strategy for trading in uptrends. So XRPBTC is still doing the same thing as a US dollar pairing, but what was a little clue? The little clue was relative weakness. We lost the daily stair-step pattern on Thursday. That was the first indication of, hey, the BTC pairing is weakening a little bit. That's your first little red flag. And so that happened for the first time here. That happened on Wednesday? No. Saturday, Friday, Thursday. So Thursday we broke that support, and I'm trying to figure out exactly when that was, but XRP at that point in time on Thursday was trading, sideways. And if you see that happen, the BTC pairing is weakening. Again, another one, if you didn't have the super stack alert, okay, maybe it's time to take some profit. I see weakness in the BTC pairing. And then we roll over for almost a 10% drop from when that happened. So again, use these BTC pairings for clues. Doesn't mean sell everything because, sometimes the signals aren't going to follow through. It just means maybe it's time to take a bit of that position off. And the BTC pairing gave a really nice heads up before the US dollar weakness. So some of the other altcoins that I'm keeping an eye on for potential shifts. So back on Wednesday, Link BTC and ADA BTC are trying to hold the recent lows, watching to see if the bulls are able to change any trends. If QQQ and Bitcoin confirm bull flags, I expect confidence in some alts to pick up a bit. So we talked about that with the sentiment trying to shift around the altcoins. But then the next day on Thursday, the two greenest coins on my list were Link and ADA. And so, I couldn't look at that and say Link and ADA are going to be top performers tomorrow. But we could see an initial clue that had us watching those names because of their BTC pairings. I cannot stress enough the clues that the BTC pairings can give us. And so ADA BTC, again, same thing. Litecoin had a big enough move to scout the daily higher low. ADA BTC, daily higher low, uptrend confirmed. And so, now we zoom out to the weekly and we recognize the weekly has a ton of work to do and the bulls aren't doing anything on the long-term timeframes, but it was enough to just see a little short-term strength. So now it's the weekly EMA 12. We've been rejecting from this level for 5 months. So it's still resistance. We could say nothing changes about the structure of this chart until weekly EMA 12 is no longer resistance. And so we'll see how that level comes into play over the coming weeks. But ADA USD hitting fresh highs on this bounce and now trying to test the highest level we've seen in a couple months, 4213. If we clear that level, it's the highest level in about 4 months. So the weekly time frame is tightening up, and now it's just a question of, are we going to see a weekly equilibrium if we reject from resistance and tighten up, or can the bulls break that level and regain the weekly uptrend to try and keep this longer term bounce going? And the ADA BTC pairing must keep these higher lows going. 12 hours nice and clear. Got to keep the 12-hour uptrend. If you lose a 12-hour uptrend, it's a red flag for the bulls. Link, very similar. So Link BTC, it's weaker. It hasn't made the move yet, but we're watching to see, can it make the move? Can it break this level that's now a double top to try and shift this momentum a bit? Again, it will be the same thing. We'll zoom out to the weekly and know that there's a ton of work to do on the longer term time frames. But again, it's if we're keeping an eye out for which altcoins could see a pop, we want to be watching the names where the BTC pairings already are putting in some of the work. You know, some of these coins can just go straight from the lows and have a big move. But like, look at Mana BTC. There is no shift on this chart taking place. And we have seen in the past where, again, this was just a big volume move seemingly out of nowhere. So keep an eye on the volume. But I would much rather be focusing on a name that is having some constructive attempt of shifting momentum versus the name that's still in the slow bleed. And Link BTC. So yeah, got to break that double top. Worth keeping an eye on. Nice little tightening daily equilibrium on the BTC pairing. Watch the names with tight sideways BTC pairings like Doge that we just looked at and ETH, because those tight ranges are going to break. So that's what we're looking at from here. Again, not anticipating a whole lot this weekend, but we know the bulls are comfortable. That's pretty much what it boils down to. And checking in, you know, MARA heading up to test the recent high. Riot is already heading to the higher high. So Riot keeping its relative strength. Riot just hit the highest price that we've seen in the last almost 7 months. It's notable. There's confidence returning. Just a note, Coinbase was given Bitcoin from the US government, from Mt. Gox, I believe it was. They've sold a portion of them. There's still a whole bunch to sell. So just keeping an eye on that. You know, they've already shown that they're not just going to dump them all at once. Other than that, have a great weekend. Check out those other videos. I'll put a link to Trader Pro Alert System if you feel like checking it out in the comments. And make sure and do some good things.